Okay, I'm ready to get started.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. This is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County.
Buenos días a todos. Esta audiencia es su comparecencia inicial en la sala menor del Tribunal de Primeras Instancias del Condado de Clayton.
My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court.
Yo soy el juez Brad Gardner, uno de los jueces en este tribunal.
I am here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you,
Estoy acá para informarle de las acusaciones formuladas en su contra,
to advise you of certain rights,
para informarle de ciertos derechos,
to set bail on those offenses that I'm authorized to set bail,
para imponerles fianzas por las acusaciones las cuales tengo la autorización de imponerles fianza,
to schedule a preliminary hearing,
para programar su audiencia preliminar
and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney.
y también para determinar si requieren el asesoramiento de un abogado.
You have the right to remain silent and say nothing.
Tienen derecho a permanecer callados sin decir nada.
But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you.
Pero si eligen renunciar a ese derecho, cualquier cosa que digan en esta diligencia se puede tomar en su contra.
So please don't discuss the facts of your case.
Así que, por favor, no hablen de los hechos de su caso.
During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights.
Durante esta diligencia y cualquier en el futuro tendrá los siguientes derechos.
To the presumption of innocence,
El derecho a ser presuntos inocentes,
to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors,
el derecho a que se le formula una acusación formal del gran jurado cuando se trata de delitos graves o que procede en su contra con una acusación general cuando se trata de delitos menores.
to a speedy and public trial by jury,
El derecho a un juicio público y sin demora ante un juez o jurado.
to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you,
El derecho a ver, a escuchar y a contrainterrogar los testigos convocados a declarar en su contra.
to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf,
El derecho a obligar que comparezcan testigos para que declaren a su favor.
to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense,
El derecho de dar su propio testimonio en defensa propia y también presentar pruebas.
and to have an attorney represent you.
Y también el derecho a un abogado que lo representa.
You cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Si no puede costear el servicio de un abogado, se le puede designar uno de oficio si cumple los criterios.
Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail.
Algunos de ustedes se les permitirá depositar fianzas y restricciones para salir en libertad provisional de la cárcel.
These bonds may be posted by cash, commercial, or property.
Se puede depositar esta fianza en efectivo con una garantía de un inmueble o a través de una compañía de fianzas.
Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people
Algunos de ustedes tendrán condiciones con la fianza, las cuales prohíben que tengan contactos con ciertas personas
or going to certain places.
o también prohíben que vayan a ciertos lugares.
You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail.
También se les prohibirá contactar a la víctima mientras está esperando en la cárcel.
If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked.
Si incumple esta orden judicial, su fianza quedará revocada
And you could remain in jail until your trial.
y puede que permanezca detenido en la cárcel hasta su juicio.
You could also receive additional felony charges.
También se le podría formular acusaciones adicionales de mayor cuantía.
It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case,
Es importante tener en cuenta que si alguien aparece como la víctima, la presunta víctima en su caso,
that person will not be allowed to post your bail.
a esa persona no se le va a permitir depositar la fianza por usted.
Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail.
Algunos de ustedes tienen acusaciones las cuales yo como juez no tengo la autorización de imponerles la fianza.
In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County.
Si ese es su caso, una audiencia para determinar fianza quedará programada ante un juez de la Sala Superior del Condado de Clayton.
And you will be informed of that date.
Y a usted se le va a informar de esa fecha.
If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time.
Si actualmente está cumpliendo una condena de libertad condicional, no tengo la autorización de imponerle fianza en este momento.
Whether bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest.
Si es apropiado imponerle fianza, esa decisión se tomará una vez que su agente de libertad condicional ha tenido la oportunidad de considerar esta nueva detención.
The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you.
El propósito de la audiencia preliminar es para determinar si existen suficientes pruebas para avalar las acusaciones en su contra.
The standard at this stage is very low.
El estándar a esa etapa jurídica es muy bajo.
A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred.
Para que un juez determine que una acusación siga adelante en esta etapa jurídica, solamente tiene que determinar que es posible que un delito se perpetró.
Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing.
Todos tienen la habilidad de renunciar su derecho a la audiencia preliminar.
However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing.
Sin embargo, deberían primero consultar con un abogado si no está seguro si le conviene o no renunciar a la audiencia preliminar.
If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived.
Si deposita fianza, la audiencia preliminar quedará renunciada automáticamente.
You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date.
Usted recibirá notificación de la próxima cita judicial en la dirección que deja anotado en la cárcel.
Lastly, I need everyone to raise your right hand, please.
Por último, si todos pueden levantar la mano derecha, por favor.
You swear or affirm that any statements you make during this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
Juran y afirman que cualquier cosa que digan durante esta diligencia será la verdad y toda la verdad.
Okay, let's start with Carlos Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, can you hear and understand the interpreter?
Señor González, ¿puede usted oír y entender a la intérprete? The
Sir-
interpreter did not hear a response, I'm sorry.
Okay, would you
Sí.
speak up?
Puede hablar un poco más fuerte, señor. ¿Usted me puede oír y entender? Yes, sir.
Sir, you've been charged with one count of battery.
Señora, a usted se le acusa de una infracción de lesiones.
Bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that offense.
La fianza para esa infracción se le impone a $5,000.
One count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth.
También una infracción de dar un nombre, dirección o fecha de nacimiento falso.
Bond is going to be set at $2,000 for that offense.
La fianza para esa infracción se impone a $2,000.
One count of obstructing an officer.
Y una acusación de obstrucción a un agente de policía.
Bond is also going to be set at $2,000.
También para esa infracción se le impone la fianza a $2,000.
That's going to be a total bond of $9,000.
En total, su fianza queda en $9,000.
There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a EN. Second word is ZHEN. Last word is Zuleta.
Your Honor, if I may inquire, the first word is EEN?
Yes, EN, 2 letters.
Oh, I'm so sorry. EN space ZHEN, last name ZULETA?
Yes, ma'am.
Su fianza, señor, conlleva una condición de ningún contacto con en Censuleta, se lo deletreo, E-N, Z-H-E-N, luego Z-U-L-E-T-A.
Do you understand that, sir?
¿Entiende eso, señor?
Yes. Sí.
Yes.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201.
Y su audiencia preliminar se programa para el día 30 de noviembre a las 8:30 de la mañana en la sala 201.
That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail.
Una vez que salga en libertad de la cárcel bajo fianza, la fecha de esta audiencia renunciada y le enviará por correo la próxima cita judicial.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Quisiera que yo determine si usted cumple los criterios para un abogado de oficio, señor.
¿Cómo sería eso de renunciaría a mi bono como no le...
How would that be? Would I have to then waive my bond?
No, sir.
No, señor.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Señor, usted sí cumple los criterios para un abogado. Voy a nombrar un abogado de oficio para usted. ¿Tiene alguna pregunta para mí?
No, por ahora no.
No, not for the moment.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
Gracias, señor. Ya se puede retirar.
Espera, María.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I believe that's all we need you for.
Okay.
Thank you again, Ms. Tolles. Have a good day.
All right, Your Honor. You do the same.
Sir, I saw it says Ryan's phone. Or
Yes, sir.
iPhone.
This is Attorney Ryan Williams on behalf of Christina Monroe.
Okay. Let's bring up Miss Monroe. Do you know what Miss Monroe has been charged with?
Your Honor, my understanding is going to be in possession with intent. They didn't have to charge. I went to see her yesterday.
She's charged with trafficking, 17 pounds of marijuana. And as you know, I can't set bond on anything at this hearing for trafficking marijuana over 10 pounds. Mr. Florio, you're representing Mr. Sims?
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I am. I apologize for being a minute late. I apologize, Your Honor.
No, you're not late. We just started early. We have two attorneys and an interpreter, so that normally takes up time, but we knew that you were going to be here. And so we'll deal with Mr. Sims next.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Williams, well, let me say this to you, Ms. Monroe. You've taken advantage of the opportunity to hire an attorney, so I'm going to be speaking to Mr. Williams. You should know that anything you say during this proceeding is not privileged or private, so don't say anything you wouldn't want the whole world to know. Okay, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, I have set a preliminary hearing date for December 12th. I'm sorry, December 1st at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. I've also set a bond hearing date for December 3rd. This is not to say that Miss Monroe can't get out. Like I said, I can't set it at this hearing, but my understanding is based upon the criminal history of the accused, the district attorney's office may agree to a consent bond.
Yes, Honor.
And so that's something that you could possibly get done. These incidents, unfortunately, get probably one a day. coming from Las Vegas, San Francisco, LAX. And by and large, the people who are arrested have a very minimal criminal history. So it's in the DA's hands now until December 3rd.
Yes, Your Honor. And I have plans on coming down today anyway to see if I can get in contact with anybody in the DA's office. I know this case had to go through this process first to before we could actually try to work out a consent.
Right. Is there any questions you have of me, Mr. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor. It's the December the 3rd date, the next close date that you can set her on in the event that we can't work out a consent. She does have two minor children, has a minor child, and was gainfully employed. And as you stated, she has very minimal criminal history.
If this was 9 pounds, she'd have a bond right now. It's just, I can't set it. So that date that we have set for December 3rd, that's the next date on the calendar. And I know it's an extended period of time. That's why I always just I know that the DA has consented to bonds. Now, your client's case may be different. I don't know your client, but that's probably the next best thing.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Mr. Florio, let's bring up Mr. Sims. So, let me see. Mr. Florio, I have set bond on everything except for the criminal damage to property in the second degree.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And I'm going to look at that because I believe it was his criminal history.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Let's see. I'm pulling it back up. This is my recollection. After a certain while, it gets foggy. So I want to make certain that I'm looking at the right person.
You and me both, Your Honor. The older we get, I feel like the less I remember.
Yes. And unfortunately, this week I've been working third shift warrants and then going into first appearance. So those 4:30 phone calls really do really really mess with the brain. Okay, I've found him. Let me just tell you, for the family violence battery, I've set a $5,000 bond. For the obstructing or hindering an emergency telephone call, I've set a $4,000 bond. Cruelty to children less than 18 years old, I set a $3,000 bond. He has another speeding offense that I've set at $1,500. And giving a false name, address, or date of birth, I've set a bond at $2,000. I've also placed a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Pretoria Caitlin. So yes, he has a number of family violence, battery type arrests, armed robbery, aggravated assault. Now, convictions are different. So he wasn't convicted on those offenses. But my concern is safety to the community. It appears from your client's criminal history and this new offense that he may have a problem with violence. And that is something that I have a twofold concern. One, after representing people for so long doing death penalty work, I've seen a lot of my clients who something that was minor turned into something major because a person ended up dead. And as I'm looking at this, it doesn't show, but says that there was a probation that was issued out of Clayton County State Court, case number 2017 CR 06125. And the notation says continue on original probation or parole order, but I don't see on here what was the original probation.
Judge, if I could ask for that case number again, please.
Sure. 2017 CR 06124.
Yes, sir.
And it was a family violence battery.
Yes, sir. I believe he pled to count one. I didn't represent him, but I believe he pled to count one, which was a family violence battery charge under the Act for First Offenders.
Okay.
I can't certify to the court. Obviously, the court has his criminal history, what the end result of the first offender was. I see that it appears that there was some sort of a violation of probation, walk-in hearing scheduled in 2018. I'm not sure of the result. There was evidently a hearing held, it looks like, on May 31st of 2019 concerning his first offender eligibility. It says first offender eligibility hearing. So I'm not sure exactly what that was. He was represented by other counsel at the time.
Okay. Let me give you another case. Let's see. There's an arrest date of March 24th, 2020. And by the Clayton County Sheriff's Department, and it says a felony family violence battery, which would tell me that it was the same victim.
So it appears that case. See, when I look on the online court query, I don't see that case appearing for him. I know that there was a 2017 case that it looks like he tendered a no-low plea to a battery family violence. And then there was a 2020 case that was assigned to Judge Malone, I believe. And it looks like he tendered a misdemeanor plea in that case, but that was a 2019. He would have pled in April of 2020, he pled to 12 months misdemeanor probation on that. And that probation is concluded at this time. So I think he has 2 misdemeanor battery family violence convictions, if I'm reading the online records correctly.
Do you have a sentence date of April 7th, 2020 for a family violence battery?
Yes, sir. That was a felony case that it appears the state reduced. It was assigned to Judge Malone. It was case number 2019 CR 02721. And on April 7th of 2020, he was sentenced on count 1 to 12 months probation with 100 hours of community service. And so I believe that while it was indicted as a felony battery family violence, it appears that the state reduced it to a misdemeanor and allowed him to plead to the misdemeanor of family violence.
So that's my concern. I'm concerned it seems like every year he's at least getting arrested on a simple battery or family violence battery. And so the last, I think 3 or 4 years, he's been arrested every year on a similar charge. And so that's what I'm concerned about as it relates to public safety.
I think, Your Honor, if I may, I think that everyone would agree that Mr. Sims was involved in a toxic relationship. He was involved with a young lady. When they met, he was 19, she was 27. And so there's almost a 10-year age difference between the two of them. And obviously it was a relationship that they were in for a number of years. Until recently, they were involved in a relationship. I've had a chance to speak with Ms. Sims's mother, and I know she was concerned about the relationship. The alleged victim is currently on felony probation in Clayton County, I believe for aggravated assault herself. I don't believe Mr. Sims was the victim in that case, but I see that she's on 5 years felony probation in the Superior Court. They are no longer in a relationship. The only contact that they have at this point is a minor child that they share together, an 18-month-old child that they have. But Mr. Sims and Ms. Catlin are no longer in a relationship. Mr. Sims is in a relationship with a new individual, and I'm sure Ms. Catlin is as well. I believe that Ms. Catlin has been in communication with Mr. Sims's family with regards to hoping to see Mr. Sims receive bond and hoping to see Mr. Sims not remain incarcerated. I have not spoken with Ms. Catlin though. I believe that if the court were inclined to set bond, certainly a no contact order would be appropriate to ensure that he not have contact with the alleged victim. Although she's reached out to Mr. Sims's family, certainly I believe in this circumstance with the concerns of the court, that would be appropriate. Mr. Sims himself is 26 years old. He was moved to Lovejoy, Georgia when he was 6 and went through the Clayton County public school system, graduating from Lovejoy High School in 2013. He then enrolled at the University of Louisiana at Monroe and worked towards a degree in business. He currently lives in McDonough with his family, so he does not reside in the same county as the alleged victim. And I think it's important to note that the incident date is a March incident date, and we're just now in October. And so in the 6 months since Ms. Catlin made these allegations against Mr. Sims, there's not been any other difficulties between the parties. Certainly, we would deny that anything happened on that March date. Obviously, by way of the fact that warrants were issued, I would presume that would mean that when law enforcement made contact with Ms. Catlin, Mr. Sims was neither present nor available. And so I think that the extent of any evidence would be what Ms. Catlin says. It's also my understanding that Ms. Catlin has made, over the last 6 months, has made attempts to reach out to the prosecutor's office and law enforcement in an attempt to try to have the charges dropped, as oftentimes victims do. But that obviously she was informed that once warrants were issued, the warrants must be addressed. Mr. Catlin, if granted bond, Your Honor, will continue to reside in McDonough with his mother and father. He works as a certified forklift operator. We believe that because the relationship is over, because Mr. Sims is in a new relationship, and we believe Ms. Catlin is as well, that the likelihood of future difficulties between the parties is minimized because of that. At the time that these prior incidents would have occurred, I believe they would have been in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend. That is no longer the case today. We understand the concerns of the court. Certainly, Mr. Sims is willing to abide by anything that the court, any conditions that the court wants to impose on bond, we would consent to. We would just ask that bond be set in this matter. He is not currently on probation or parole, and has no holds from any jurisdiction. And I believe the extent of his criminal history is the 2 misdemeanor convictions. Just to address the armed robbery arrest, I understand that's certainly concerning. I did not represent him on that matter as well. This is the first time I've represented him. It's my understanding that was a case of mistaken identity, and that's why all charges were dismissed by the district attorney's office against Mr. Sims. And there was no, he was indicted, but ultimately all charges were dismissed by way of a motion by the state. And so that's what I've been told, is that there was a case of mistaken identity, and he unfortunately was picked as the individual who had committed a crime. I believe another man was arrested, another man was brought to justice, and another man was convicted in that matter. That man not being Mr. Sims.
Okay. Ms. Florio, you know I have a lot of respect for you, but I just, when everything that I see as it relates to Mr. Sims, I'm just not inclined to grant him bond on that. I think this is a situation where it's gonna have to be, I would need more information to feel comfortable, because he ended up getting arrested on these warrants because he allegedly was speeding on Panola Road doing 78 in a 45-mile-per-hour zone, and then allegedly gave a false name and date of birth to the police. So I don't see anything that says to me that Mr. Sims will not go back out and be a threat to public safety. So it's not to say, Mr. Sims, that you're not going to be able to get a bond, because Ms. Florio is a good lawyer. But at this point, I'm based upon what I see as your criminal history and the allegations. In this case, I'm not prepared to set bond on this criminal damage to property in the second degree.
Will bond be set on all the other charges, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. I've set bond on everything except for the criminal damage to property in the second degree. Mr. Sims, I see you're raising your hand, but let me tell you one thing. Nothing you can say here is going to help you. Okay. I've tried to explain my reasoning, and you should speak to Mr. Florio first before you start speaking in open court. Okay. Is there anything else, Mr. Florio?
No, sir, Your Honor. I appreciate the court's consideration. Mr. Sims, I'll come see you at the jail to discuss it. And we'll reach out to the district attorney's office this morning to begin those discussions.
Okay, thank you, sir. You're free to
Thank
go,
you, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Florio. Mr. Sims, you're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, let's go over to Ms. Fairchild. Ms. Fairchild, ma'am, you're charged with one count of obstructing an officer. Bond is going to be set at $2,000 on that offense, and one count of hindering the apprehension of a criminal. This is a felony offense. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. That's a total bond of $7,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for December 1st at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, I'm going to find that you qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Ms. Keene?
I did knock on the door.
Are you Ms. Keene?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you're charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. This is a misdemeanor offense. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back. Ms. Pierce.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. You're charged with 2 counts of criminal trespass as misdemeanors. I'm going to set the bond at $3,000 for each of these offenses. So that's a total bond of $6,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Correll Young. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to find that you qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back.
Okay.
I forgot to ask at the beginning, as we switch over to the mail side, do you have Johnny Miller there today?
Johnny Miller? No, sir.
Okay, he was brought over yesterday, and I totally forgot. It says he's in cell 1310. I can give you the LE number, but we're going to need to do Mr. Miller today. It looks like
We'll go get him, Your Honor.
okay. Do you have his LE number?
Can you give me the cell number one more time again, please?
It looks like it says 1310T.
Hey, guys, we'll go get him.
Okay. All right. So let's begin with Mr. Irving. Mr. Irving, sir, you're charged with 1 count of burglary. I'm going to deny bond at this time on that offense. 1 count of simple battery. I'm going to set a $4,000 bond. 1 count of battery, family violence. I'm setting a $5,000 bond. 1 count of cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. That's a misdemeanor. I'm setting the bond at $3,000. And 1 count of reckless conduct. I'm setting the bond at $5,000. So bond is denied on the burglary charge. You're going to have a total bond of $17,000 on the other offenses. I've also placed a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Skyline Scales and a Cortez Jackson. Do you understand that? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for December 12th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. And you're going to also have a bond hearing date set for December 3rd, courtroom 201. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's no way I can get out before then?
Not your lawyer can possibly.
I got like no priors and then there's no way I can get out before then.
Okay. Let me answer one question before you ask another question. First, how much do you make per hour?
$11.50 right now.
Okay. I'm going to find that you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. Now, as it relates to the burglary charge, that's going to be up to the district attorney's office before we get to the preliminary hearing dates. I'm going to tell you one thing that disturbed me in this is an allegation of discharge of a weapon. And it appears as though you have a young child, and that child could have been injured. Based upon allegations, it looks like you saw something that you didn't like. And you handled it in an extremely poor manner. So you can get out, but it's going to have to go through the district attorney's office.
So how long would that take? Would you be able to tell me that?
Um,
Like there's something like that's gonna be like soon, like I can get out soon?
so I don't know when you're going to be able to speak to the lawyer. So as you probably heard, some of the people who have hired lawyers, they're going to speak to the district attorneys today on behalf of their client. So I can only tell you that it's possible that the district attorney will agree to a bond. But I'm telling you, based upon the allegations in here, someone easily could have ended up dead that night. And you could be in here facing murder charges.
No, so basically, my lawyer has to go talk to the DA, and then as soon as they talk to them and they agree, I can just get out.
If the DA's office agrees, yes,
But
it
if
will be
not,
a consent bond. It
So
will
if
be a
not,
consent bond.
all right, so if not, I have to stay until December.
Yes, sir. All right, you're free to go back.
To Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, sir, you're charged with one count of obstructing an officer. Bond is going to be set at $2,000 for that offense. One count of loitering or prowling. Bond is going to be set at $1,000. So that's a total bond of $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I have one.
Okay. Was your lawyer supposed to be here today?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, you're free to go back. Mr. Maddox. Mr. Maddox, sir, you're charged with one count of driving a vehicle without valid insurance. Bond is going to be set at $1,000. One count of driving a vehicle with a suspended license. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. And one count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth. Bond is going to be set at $2,000. So that's a total bond of $4,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes. Can you repeat my charges?
Yes. One count of driving a vehicle without valid insurance. One count of driving a vehicle with us while your license is suspended or revoked. And one count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to find that you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Mr. McCoy. I'm sorry. Are you Mr. McCoy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, you're charged with one count of battery. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. So you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Wiltonia Stroman. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
About how much do you make per hour?
10.
Okay. You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
All right, you're free to go back. Mr. McNeil? Sir, you've also been charged with one count of battery. Bond is also going to be set at $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from an Eric McNeil. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
If I hired a lawyer before my court date, how do I inform you guys or let you know ahead of time?
You inform the lawyer that has been appointed that you have now hired a lawyer, and they will file a motion either to withdraw from the case, or the lawyer that you've hired will file an entry saying that they now represent you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right? Okay, you're free to go back.
Your Honor, Mr. Miller is present in the court.
Okay, we'll save him the last.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reese.
Morning.
Sir, good morning, sir. You're charged with one count of obstruction. Bond is going to be set at $2,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for November 30th at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
No, sir.
Okay, do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, so you are aware that there are apparently 3 warrants in 3 different jurisdictions for your arrest?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, all right, sir, you're free to go back. Mr. Scott.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Scott. You're charged with improper turn or not using your turn signal. Bond's going to be set at $500. You're charged with driving a vehicle with no valid insurance. Bond is going to be set at $1,000. You're charged with forgery in the 2nd degree. I cannot set bond for this offense at this time because there's an indication that you are still on probation or parole. You've been charged with 1 count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth. Bond is going to be set at $2,000. 1 count of concealing the identity of a vehicle. Bond is going to be set at $500. And 1 count of driving on a suspended license. Bond is going to be set at $1,500. I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for December 1st at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. I'm also setting a bond hearing date for December 3rd at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to find that you qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Yes, sir. I'll let you speak. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. So, what is your question, Mr. Scott?
Well, my concern is that I have a child that I have custody of. So, and that charge is prop money. He said it was counterfeit, but it's video money, and it was in the car. Like,
And that was explained in the warrant, and the officer said that they looked at the money in it, that it didn't say that this was prop money, that it purported to be legal tender.
he pulled it right up. The money what came up. He lied. The money came up on the screen.
Okay.
But I can prove all that. But I do think that that's unfair though, like that I can't get a bond for that. Like, I'm 15.
So the statute is 1710(1). It says that I cannot set bond for someone that appears to be on parole. It doesn't mean you can't get a bond tomorrow. It says I cannot set the bond.
I'm on probation.
It's probation or parole.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, your fight is in getting the district attorney's office to consent to this bond, which, as I indicated, can happen tomorrow. But it has to go through your lawyer, and your lawyer have to be able to sit down and explain what happened to the prosecutor, and they agree to it.
But will I have to go to court on that date, or can they just do that without me going to court to get a bond for that?
They do it without you going to court. So the basis of this, just so you know, as you see, most of everybody is getting bonds and getting released. Yeah. And the problem was, hey, before the probation officer can get to the person, the person has already posted bond and they're out. The probation officer either has a problem with you or does not have a problem with you. And that, by and large, is how this decision is made. If you've been not showing up, not doing stuff, you got 5 or 6 dirty urines, all of that stuff, that's what the prosecutor is looking at and trying to get with your probation officer. So hire a lawyer if you have that ability. Make sure you contact your probation officer so they're expecting a phone call. And if you've been doing what you're supposed to do, most likely they'll consent to a bond and you'll be out.
So I qualify for the public defender.
Yes.
Yeah. They probably, you know, they'll probably come see me soon.
And that question is asked, and I tell people, I don't work for the public defender's office and I don't work at the jail. So I can't give you any kind of knowledge about that. Okay? All right, sir, you're free to go back. Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of criminal damage to property. This is a felony offense. Bond is going to be set at $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for December 1st at 8:30 in the morning, courtroom 201. That date will get waived upon your ability to post a bond, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from an Ed McGurk. Do you understand that?
My uncle.
I'm sorry?
That is my uncle.
Okay, so you got to stay away from him. All right?
Yes, sir.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently working, Mr. Miller?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
I don't know. I did it for a reason. So it seems like I'm being set up for shit that I ain't do. Cause I know I'm a compulsive liar. I know this. Okay. And I say things to say things and say things to see how things going on. It seems the lies I'm doing, it seems like they coming back on me. And it's getting me all messed up. And I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I really don't know. I know
Okay,
I'm in trouble. And that's all I know, I'm in trouble. So.
okay. All right, Mr. Miller, speak to your lawyer. This isn't the crime of the century, and your lawyer may be able to get a consent bond and get you out. Okay? All right, you're free to go back, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.